Something I've been thinking about lately, what are the challenges of both acting and directing in a film? I've been both director and actor before, but only in very short films or webisodes. So something that's been on my mind for a few years now is what is the best way to go about acting and directing in a feature film? And some of the positives are obviously you have more creative control because the communication between director and actor is pure, if you like, because I know exactly what I want from that character in the film. So hopefully I should be able to manage myself, but it's not guaranteed. um, yeah, so I guess it's creative control in a way because it's both me, if that makes sense. um, and I guess if it's something I wrote as well, it's going to allow me to bring out more authenticity, maybe, or honesty. A big advantage is, of course, that I don't have to hire an actor because I'll be playing that role. So there's cost savings there, and not just obvious costs of day rates, but if you're on location somewhere, you don't need two hotel rooms and you don't need two meals at every meal break and etc etc. So there are savings obvious and not so obvious from doing that. I'm just going to check my list. And if the film does well, it should help in the future if I ever have a project where I want to be director and actor again, then I have some runs on the board, if you like. So, and I think um, it might help with working with the actors with the director's hat on if I'm one of the actors as well. It might help with um, chemistry and being more relaxed and getting performances out of people because I'm one of them as well. So it just might help a little bit there. I'm not sure, but it might. Intellectually, it feels like it might, but sometimes these things don't always translate to what happens when you get in front of the camera. It's not all a bed of roses. There are some challenges. Let me just double check. One of the challenges, of course, is that you have to have a kind of split personality. You've got to be able to look at it from the big picture approach of a director, and you've also got to have that really focused outlook of an actor who's just focused on that character. So that takes some management, and that could be seen as a negative or a challenge, I suppose. So not insurmountable, but something you've got to be very aware of. And obviously you can't watch yourself in real time. So if you're acting, you can't be behind the monitor at the same time. So that's obviously a challenge. Some other things are, I made some notes here. Without another director, when you're the actor, without a director pushing you or challenging you or giving you ideas, maybe you might tend towards playing it safe as an actor. So that could be something you need to be aware of. You could be biased when you're editing. You might consciously and unconsciously choose your scenes or the takes that you're shown as best in even if they may not be the best take for the film. So you really have to step outside your ego and not let that influence the big picture. It gives me an idea that I might tease some of my acting colleagues when I do get to this project, play a little joke on them that I've just thought of. And the logistical challenges are, who does give the feedback? If I'm 100 meters away doing some intense, intimate scene or something, you want to have someone throwing that stuff out at you, like any tweaks or any thoughts or feedback or anything like that, because it's just not practical. And when you're in a scene like that, you don't want to break out of it as an actor. You want to stay in that moment and see it through. So you need to have, an AD or DP or someone throwing things at you. And I think you need to be careful that you don't, the whole thing doesn't become self-indulgent. If you're acting in it and directing it, I think I touched on it a moment ago about, you really have to have your ego in check, because you don't want it to be seen as some sort of ego project for yourself. You're trying to tell a story here, and that has to be king. So you need to be very aware and, be very self-aware, so that when those moments happen, or when you start slipping down that path, you need to be able to stop yourself, or even better, have have discussions with people beforehand. The producer, maybe the AD, maybe the DP. Have a assistant director of photography. Sorry. Have a discussion with them and allow them to be able to say something to you if if they feel like you are getting a bit out of hand and it is becoming a bit self-indulgent. You need someone to keep you on check, because when you're playing those two roles, it's a challenge, emotionally and psychologically. So don't try and take it all on yourself. So what are some good strategies for making it work? I think the first one is you need to have something set up with your, just like I touched on about ego, something practical set up with your AD and cinematographer and producer. They're probably the three key people you want managing things when you're acting. And, the big thing is, like I said, if I'm 100 meters away doing some intimate scene, it's just not practical for me to, break out of everything as an actor and look at each take and give some feedback and tweaks, and then, it would take forever. And when you're making indie film, the one thing you don't have, well, two things you don't have, are time and money, of course. But time is crucial. So you need to have some sort of setup where you say, I'll only have a look when we're going to move the camera, or I'll check everything when we break for a coffee, or something like that. You need to have some system in place. Empower the AD or the DP or the producer. Choose one as the captain of all that, and just run with it that way. And the key to that working, of course, is being prepared. Be uber prepared if you're going to act and direct. So that, I think you have to be so prepared that if you just gave the shots and what you're looking for from each scene to, say, the assistant director and said, here, and you just acted, that it would work. You have to be that prepared, really, really prepared. And of course you could have a co-director. That's a solution, as well as directing yourself. You could have someone as a co-director, even if they just come in for the shoot. Great. Just have someone in there to, keep things ticking along. Like I said, time's important. But even if you don't have a co-director, you'll find that producers are often directors as well, or have a lot of experience of it. Same with cinematographers, same with assistant directors. They'll have those skills, and they may not have focused on them like you have, but they certainly have that skill set. So you're probably going to be okay, but you may feel like you want a co-director because you're acting and directing, just to have that outside view come in and help through the shoot. It does give you an exciting challenge, don't get me wrong, but there are lots of challenges and you have to plan it out and get people on board, and not just those people I keep mentioning, the whole crew, the whole cast. They have to be aware of the fact that you're acting and directing, and they have to be aware of the process you're going through. That is, if it's going to be that you're going to shoot, certain shots or shoot all the stuff until the coffee break, or you're going to break when the camera moves, because the crew needs to know what's going on and the cast needs to know what's going on. And especially as you may change that routine depending on the scene. For example, you may have a rule that says, we're going to shoot everything pointing this direction, and then we're going to have a break. Bill's going to have a quick look at the takes, make sure he's happy we've got what we need, and then we're going to move the camera over here. Now that may be great for certain scenes, but if I'm in the middle of an intimate fight or an intimate romance or anything with a real emotional intensity, I'm not going to want to break it as an actor. My scene partner or partners are not going to want to break, they're going to want to break out of that as little as possible, because it can be hard to get back into that emotion. So in that scenario, we may shoot the whole scene and whatever shots we're going for before we stop and have a look, because that suits the particular scene or sequence best. So you need to adapt, but keep everyone informed. I mean, that's a big thing anyway in filmmaking, but especially in this scenario. So I'm looking forward to doing it. I mean, I have to get funding and all the rest of it before we can do all that, but I think it's exciting. You just need to be even more prepared than usual. Thanks for watching. It'd be great if you could like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you'd like to support me further, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link in the description below. I hope to see you in the next one.